The most exciting time of the year, which is Q4, is soon here. And the crazy part about Q4, if you don't know, is that you can sell as much as you have sold throughout the whole year in just the months of October, November, and December. And honestly, mainly in November and December. So in this video, I'll go over 5 niches that are guaranteed to sell during the holidays. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first one, which is a huge niche, is the nurse niche. So if we just search for nurse sweatshirt here, as I talk so much about sweatshirt on this channel, I'll keep talking about it some more. I live in Sweden, so I gotta filter this by ship to the US. Apply the star seller filter here, then swap out in the search bar star for best to only get the best sellers for a given niche. Now, to speed up this process, I use a software called Alora, and there's a link in the description if you want to use that. And let's see here. This is just to gauge the demand of the niche itself. Now, we can basically then see here, we can sort this by revenue. And yeah, this is crazy. I've had so much success personally within the niche, so I know for sure that it's a great niche to be in. Like, remember that these revenue numbers are projections. They are not like a certainty that it's actually hit these numbers, but it probably hit something in the vicinity of it. So this one has sold approximately $105,000, and this one has been live, let's see here, for like over a year, a bit. Yeah, that's crazy. An embroidered nurse shirt, that's crazy. Almost $100,000 in just this. And just to brief you, when it comes to Q4, like you might think that you need to sell Christmas designs, but that's not accurate. You can sell whatever you want, because if I think myself during like Christmas and I want to buy Christmas gifts for my friends or for like family members and stuff, I buy things that they like, things that they want to have, which doesn't necessarily have to be anything to do, like the occasion is Christmas, which you gift it through, like I've gifted like a speaker to someone who really wanted like a small speaker, certainly nothing to do with Christmas, except that I gave it to the person on Christmas. So yeah, it doesn't have to be about Christmas specifically. It just needs to be something that's very giftable. And the great thing about Etsy is that their whole gist is basically that they want to do custom gifts for women, basically. That's been my interpretation of their whole branding. But you can see here then, just to prove what I'm just saying here, that during Q4, things go ham. Like the sales spike here is huge, and then it dips throughout the year and then it picks up. But usually always around Q4, these kinds of things are selling very well. If we go to another one here, which just says nurse in an embroidered floral pattern. Same here. This one actually did not sell that well during Christmas, but it did sold very well during August. There can definitely be other factors to this, of course, that like affects it. If we take this one too, yeah, it just sold like crazy during November and December. Then it kind of dips, and it will probably sell really well during November and December again. This here. If we take one more just to prove, to see if there's any like real demand in the niche, like the broad niche in and of itself. Let's take this. Let's take, for instance, this one. And this one is also for all time. Let's see here. And this one hasn't been up that long. Let's take this one instead. Yeah, same thing here. It sold well, like good here, but then it peaks around December. So overall, the nurse niche, it does not have to be a Christmas nurse niche. Just nurses overall, it's a great niche to be in, especially for Christmas. And the great thing about doing it this way, by approaching niches in a more evergreen way, is that this will also sell well throughout the whole year, and it won't like dip heavily when you enter January, because if you specifically do only Christmas designs, it will dip heavily during January and February, as those seasonal like listings that are only targeted towards Christmas will only sell during that time. So I always think this is a better approach, and like they will have a much better lifetime value, so they will basically sell more over time, and they will basically sell more overall during the year than just in a specific time of the year, which is, in my opinion, a better way to approach Etsy, as it's a better way to round out the shop itself. So the next niche that we want to check that out super well to sell in, especially during Q4, is the teacher niche. So let's do the same thing here. Ship to the US, star seller, swap out star for best, and then let's see here. And then we'll go to Alora here to just gauge the demand. Sort this by revenue. Okay, so just to gauge the demand again here, let's see here. Let's take this one. So again, it doesn't have to be specifically for Christmas, like a Christmas teacher thing. You just have to be a teacher design. And same thing here. This one peaked super much during December and sold better during November. And this part here in August is back to school, which means that back to school is also like a big holiday time for teachers. So August is a great month to be selling t-shirt stuff in. The best way, again, to approach it like this is that you will sell really well during the whole year if you approach it with more an evergreen look at the whole thing. Let's take this one as well, and let's see here. Yep, this one also peaks around December and November. So also a great niche to get into. And same thing, you will also have a peak in like July, August because of the back to school rush. So it's a great way to just approach like selling well during Q4, but also selling well during the whole year as well, which is basically my preferable approach. You want to make sure that you sell out throughout the whole year, not just a part of the year, so that you can actually make this a sustainable business. I think that's really important to make Etsy and this whole POD thing work. Let's take one more just to make sure. So like the college varsity stuff here with some floral patterns seems to be doing super well, as we found that in the nurse niche as well. And same thing here. This one, it seems to be kind of a new listing, and it's overall like a new shop, it seems. But overall, this one seems to have done really well as well. It's just this listing in and of itself seems to have a projected revenue of 25,000, which is crazy for a small shop like this, it seems. Now, let's head back here. Another niche that's working very well overall. This will be like a broader thing, but that's interests. So that could be, for instance, sports, like take a basketball shirt, or for instance, or like take something that I also talked about is a flamingo shirt. One thing that's super like niche and very specific to Etsy, in my opinion, or with POD overall, is that people have interest for these very specific things. So there's a lot of people that love flamingos for whatever reason. They're super passionate about flamingos. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just something that's very specific. But again, here, swap stuff for best. So already now there's a lot of bestsellers for flamingo shirt. So if we just gauge the demand, for instance, for flamingo shirt, this one has a projection of like doing like all time, like doing 36,000. With this one hasn't been even been up that long. Let's take another one. Lots of these are kind of new, it seems. Honestly, here, let's see if we can just filter this and see if we can have columns, and then how long it has been up. Let's see if that we can see that creation date we want to see. Let's see here. Cool. Let's just refresh this. Use Allura again. Okay, but basically all these seems kind of new, but so flamingo is one of them, for instance, but we also have other stuff. So for instance, I know that sloths is a huge interest for a lot of people, and it's something that's sold really well both on Amazon and on Etsy previously. So post for best to only get the best sellers for this niche. Gauge the demand, sort this by revenue. So this one with raccoons is definitely like popular. This one with gooses is super popular. Then it's just important to see if this part right here, goosebumps, if that's actually trademarked or not. If it is, we can use that. Let's take goosebumps. I use Flying Research for this. There's a link in the description if you want to use that. It's free. You can just sign up and then just use your trademark search tool for free. Super easy, and it's the easiest way to search for trademarks in my opinion. But this one has a trademark. Yeah, there is a trademark for goosebumps. So this one is a bit like, this one has goose and then space and then bumps. So technically this one isn't trademarked, but it's really close to goosebumps, as this is just one word. So I would stay out of this one just because it's too close to the trademark, and we don't want to like risk our whole shop because we just put up the specific listing. It's always better to be on the safe side. But this is one that's selling really well within the goose niche. This one is with just vintage animals overall. This one has, this is not a shirt. This is cats and plants. So basically what I'm trying to get to is that, let's take this one for instance. It hasn't been live that long, it seems. Let's say the goose one, even though we can't use it. But to just point out that, and never mind, this one actually didn't have a huge bump during Q4. Let's search for something broader. Let's search for animal lover shirts. Let's see if we can find some stuff here. Apply auto-filter, so we only see the best sellers for this niche. So we go broad with this one, and then we use Allura here to gauge the demand, to make it easier to just view everything, so everything goes faster. Sort this by revenue. So this whole design style is a great seller, and it has not been live for that long. So this one is something that could have sold really well during Christmas. However, this one is just this custom, and I would definitely like avoid that because of the gray areas within Etsy's new updated policies. You can view a video about that here if you want to, but I will not make it like custom text listings anymore. This one here just proves that what I've said. This one definitely peaks around December. So you have that one. This niche overall, like this one just sold 400 of this specific cat rocker rock playing cat listing in December. So this one has done very well. This one has also done very well during Christmas. So doing like animal lover shirts of any kind of sweatshirt or sweatshirt is something that could sell really well during Christmas, since it's something that they're proud of, something that they want to basically show off. And all in all, same thing here. You can cross niche this and make a Christmas, for instance, with this, you can make a Christmas rock cat playing design to make something new to the niche, but it doesn't have to be Christmas related. It just have to be something that people want to be able to gift it. It doesn't necessarily have to do with Christmas to be able to be gifted at Christmas. Animal lover gifts or like sports shirts, like basketball shirts or like football shirts, something that could work really well too. So basically interest overall is something that usually sells super well and super well overall during Christmas, since that's a very giftable item. Apart from that, another huge thing which is really specific to Christmas, which is not evergreen, that's matching group Christmas shirts. Now, if we just search for matching group Christmas shirts here, like I've seen so many of these during my time doing Etsy, and they sell like crazy amounts. Because the most important thing to know here is that when they buy matching group Christmas shirts, they are buying several, they're not buying one. Which means that you can make group sales, which if you have used like a free shipping model, that means that you will make a ton of sales. So these are bestsellers. Let's sort this by revenue. Let's see here. Sort this by revenue. So let's see here. Let's take this one, for instance. So just this one, the crazy thing about that you need to know with like Christmas designs is that it peaks heavily during Christmas. So this one has sold 683, but then it dips heavily as well. So if you want to focus on it, you can make a ton of money within the family group Christmas niche. There's just so many things that you can do. You have, for instance, let's see here. This one is not Christmas related. Let's see if we can find some Christmas related. Let's take this one, the first one here. This one is obviously trademarked because of it has the Heinz logo, so you can't use that obviously. But the point being is still that you can make like most likely two shirts is one that I've seen so many of during Christmas. So likely two Christmas shirts. This is a huge niche to be in, and it's something that sells well every year that I've been on Etsy. And the important thing to know is that when they buy, they usually buy like 5 to 10, which means that if you have a free shipping model on your shop, you don't lose out on shipping when you're actually selling the items. And that means that you can just make a ton of money because you're selling group stuff. So group listings is a huge thing if that's your approach to Etsy. But for instance, like take this one here. This one has sold, just this listing in November, sold 2,000, as projected 2,000 times. And in December, like 1,700. But then it kind of, so in February it sold 61 and then 0 basically after that. So it's just important to know that it can be crazy, like this one. It can be sold like 2,000 times a month, this specific listing, which is just bonkers. So it can sell like crazy during the holidays, but then it dips heavily as well when it's not the holidays. Just keep that in mind when you're actually doing like most like matching group Christmas shirts. But it's one niche that's selling every year that I've been on Etsy, and it's something that I just see over and over again, and it's selling super well. Now, the last niche that I want to get into, which is huge for this specific year in 2024, is election shirts. So this one will sell like crazy. It's already selling like crazy, honestly, but there's a caveat to it. So we just filter this to star seller and then to star for best. Now we only see the best seller within this niche. By doing it this way, we use an aura to gauge the demand. This is a huge year for so many reasons when it comes to politics, as there's so many countries overall that's having elections. But with everything that's happened during just this year so far, it's just a huge niche to sell in. So you can make a ton of money with this. If we just take this one, for instance. Oh, this is for the reproductive rights that happened kind of a long time ago now. Let's take this one, for instance, which is a Trump shirt. Whether you're left or you're right or whatever, it can still, for instance, sell if that's the main goal. But the point here is to just know that seems to be quite a new shop, and it has sold a ton in a short span of time, especially for a small shop like this. Like this one had done a projected revenue of like 7,000. This one has done a projection of like 6,600. So yeah, in just a month it got over 100 sales. And same thing here. This one has done like a projection of like 5,000 in just a short span of time. So you can sell a huge ton of election shirts and politically inclined shirts. But In my opinion, like when I'm putting stuff up on Merch by Amazon, stuff like this can get easily rejected. And this is kind of a volatile niche to be in, since it just walks the line basically of what's allowed and not allowed. Like putting stuff up like this, in my opinion, is walking on thin ice. So it can easily be taken down by Etsy, because Amazon can do that. Etsy can probably as well do that, since it's a very volatile niche to be into. You can risk your whole shop by putting stuff up like this, but I've also seen shops that have like a ton of staying power, where like election shirts haven't been a problem at all. So it's just hard to say if anything's gonna happen or not. I've seen shops where there's like no really implications. I've also seen shops where they've been taken down. It's just hard to gauge, in my opinion, whether it's worth it or not. But it's a crazy niche to be into, and I mean, yeah, this one is like doing super well. And I mean, it's 18 days old, and it sold $5,000 in revenue, which is crazy to me. So I mean, the demand is certainly there. It will for sure sell, but it's just hard to know whether it's okay or not to put stuff up like this on Etsy. You're kind of walking the line, in, so to speak, when you're putting up stuff like this. It's hard to gauge if it's actually okay or not. So in my personal opinion, it's a great way to be into, and you have to like look for yourself if you feel comfortable with putting stuff up like this. I will definitely stay out of it. But if you feel you're like, this have to be like gauged from person to person, like whatever you feel comfortable with putting up. But it will for sure sell this year on Etsy, and especially during Christmas. And now, as a bonus to this video, one thing that I've found in my own experience of doing Etsy is that using their Etsy ads, you get a lot of like insight on what people actually are searching for. So one thing that I found when I actually did earlier, when I like optimized my listings a lot and like took off keywords and stuff like that, when I did my Etsy ads, I found a lot of niches, then started selling in through just optimizing my Etsy ads. Because I said, okay, like people are searching for this type of thing, then they're searching for this type of thing. Mine doesn't match exactly to that, but they are searching for it. So what if I just put up a listing that basically just matches this exact search phrase? What if I do that? Because I saw like consistently that there were some sentences that just popped up in lots of my listings. So there seems to be demand for this specific niche, but there aren't that much stuff within the niche. So I just put stuff up based on my Etsy ad keywords. I think it got me some first mover advantage because I had some stuff within a niche that wasn't that established. Plus, it got me a lot of staying power as well, as I could rank faster. So using your Etsy ads and seeing if people are searching something similar to what you're selling, but not exactly to what you're selling, and you're not converting in that specific keyword, you can just create stuff for that specific keyword that they're actually searching for. If it pops up as a keyword from a lot of your Etsy listing ads, basically. So that's something that I would heavily recommend, as that's something that has sold really well for me, especially during Q4, but overall all year. Using basically your Etsy ad keywords as niche research. If you're preparing for Q4 at the moment, then I think that you will find that this video is useful. It goes over the most crucial part about print on demand, which is the design. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.